Lesson 39 is about multiplying decimal numbers. Our first question asks us to multiply 0.25 times 0.7, or we could say 25 hundredths times 7 tenths. Now there's a three-step process for multiplying decimals. The first step, whenever we multiply decimals, is going to be to move the decimal out of the factors. So when we move the decimal out of the factors, we'll call this step 1 on our left side. We're going to get, well, 0.25 times 0.7. We're going to move the decimal out, and you can see we're going to move it once, twice, 3 times total. So we moved the decimal out, we moved it 3 times, so what we're really going to get is 25 times 7 as our multiplication problem. Step 2. Step 2, multiply. Okay, we're going to multiply just like we would as if we had whole numbers. So step 2 is going to be 25 times 7. Let's write that in red. We've got 25 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. Let's carry the 3. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 3 more is 17. So we get 175. But remember, this was a three-step process. So step 3. Step 3. Well, step 3 is to move the decimal back in to the product. Now remember, the product is the answer to our multiplication problem. So step 3, we've got 175. In our first step, we move the decimal out 1, 2, 3 times so we could have whole numbers. So in our answer, we're going to have to move it back in 1, 2, 3 times in order to have the decimal point in the correct position. So the decimal point is now right here, so we've got our answer. Our answer must be 0.175, or 175 thousandths. And we're all done. That three-step process helps us to multiply any decimal numbers together. Let's look at our next example. Okay, let's simplify 2.5 squared. So we know 2.5 squared just means 2.5 times 2.5. Now our first step when we're multiplying decimals is to move the decimal out of our factors. So we're going to move it once, twice. Now we have 25 times 25. We can do that math. 25 times 25. Let's put step 1 over here because we moved the decimal out. Step 2 right here because we're multiplying. And then we'll have step 3 on the right in a moment. We've got 5 times 5. That's 25. Let's carry our 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. We've got 0 as a placeholder. 2 times 5. We know that's 10. Let's carry our 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. So when we add this up, we're going to get a 5, a 2, and a 6. We've got 625. But we need to remember step 3. We've got 625, and step 3 was to move the decimal point back into our product. So remember, we moved it out once, twice. So we're going to move it back in once, twice. Once, twice. We've got our answer. Our answer must be 6.25. We can go ahead and rewrite so it's nice and easy to read, box it, and then move on to our next problem. Okay, we want to multiply 1.6 times 3. So let's set it up. 1.6 times 3. Step 1, would be to move the decimal out of our factors. So we're going to move it out. We only have to move it out one time because there's only one decimal point to move over. We have 16 times 3 now. 16 times 3, well 3 times 6, that's 18. Let's carry our 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. We get 48. But we need to do step 3. We've got 48, but we need to move the decimal point back in one spot, because that's how many we moved it out originally to get whole numbers. So we move it back in 1, we've got 4.8. And then we can go ahead and rewrite 4 8/10, box it, and we're all done with this question. Lesson practice will be on page 205. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.